joining us, but it is important. I want to make sure that we are respectful of your time. Besides, we have a ton of information for you. Today's topic is the importance of Google My Business, and don't forget Bing. Presented to you by Mark Stewart and Jillian Grammer with Concept to Completion, and they are a full service marketing branding company. And we also have Paula. Paula is with us with SVDC, and she is going to be giving us our weekly update on what is happening on PPP, EIDL, all those other grant programs that are out there, and answering your questions. So, and please feel free in the bottom chat, put your questions in the chat, and we will go through those after the presentation. So at this time, let's turn it over to Mark and Jillian.
Terry, thank you so much, and congratulations on the great event last night. I think from what I'm hearing, everything was wonderful, and everybody made the adjustments that were needed, and it went well. So thanks so much for having us today. I think Jillian or the chamber is going to help us with our slides, but I think we're going to open it up with talking about why Google My Business is so important for your business and so important for whether you're a large business or small business, why it's important. And we're going to give you some just kind of rough outline on how to navigate through that and why it's important. And then it's also important to not forget Bing. Bing's out there and it's growing. People are using Bing as a search engine, but their their Bing places is something we also want to be aware of. So I'm going to hand it over to Jillian here. She's going to talk a lot more about the whys and what fors of Google My Business, and then I'll take a little bit towards the end. So Jillian, you want to take it away here?
Yeah, so we are going to start just with an overview agenda of what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to start with what is Google My Business. So if you've never heard of it, we're going to get you up to speed. Then we're going to go into the details of the benefits of using Google My Business as a local business. Mark will then go through the 4 core ideas that make up for using Google My Business for local marketing. Lastly, we will touch on Bing Places and how to get set up on there. Then we will conclude with a Q&A. So what is Google My Business? Google My Business is a free and easy to use tool for businesses and organizations to manage their online presence across Google. This includes search and maps. So that's more of like the textbook definition of what it is. But essentially, it's a convenient feature that gives searchers access to important information right away without having to leave the Google search. So we're going to go into more of the weeds of this later, but I'm sure we've all had firsthand experience typing a business into Google. And on the right-hand side of your screen, if you're on desktop, you will see a Google profile with a business's address, hours of operation, phone number, and so on. It's essentially just a quick snapshot of all the important business information so people don't have to go to a business's website, try to find their contact page, try to locate their address when you need it right off the bat. But like I said, we're going to go into more details on this later. So what is the difference between a Google account and a Google profile? Google My Business is not your business profile, but it's a tool by which you can use to enhance your business profile. So the way that I like to look at it is your account is more of like your back end part, where you, the business owner, enters in the important business information that is shown to the public, which is your Google profile. It's essentially your business listing. And that's what we see over here on the right-hand side. Moving right along. Moving right along, these are a few places your business profiles will appear on. So on this left-hand side, we just have the search, and it'll just come up with a few business profiles, these top 3 right here. It'll also show you Google Maps, or you could directly type in Google Maps and search businesses on here. And then this is just the mobile view of what Google profiles look like. So the benefits of using Google My Business. It's free. It helps customers find your physical location. So if you are looking for a business, you need that business to come up on maps so that you have directions to that physical location of a business. That's so important that you're on Google My Business just for that reason alone. It also boosts your search visibility. So if you type in a pizza restaurant into Google, Google is going to show you all of the business profiles for pizza restaurants for locations near you. So if you're not on Google My Business, you lost out on being shown to potential customers and potentially a sale. It displays useful information. Like we mentioned, it shows directions to a physical location, your website, hours of operation, all those important business information details. It also gives you customer insight. So what your customers are saying about your business, reviews, these are so important, and we will go into more details on this later, and brand reputation management. You can also track website traffic and your audience. So you can look into your insights and see how many people made a call based on your business profile each month, or how many people selected your website. This is all useful information just to kind of measure how you're doing each month. And then you can encourage and actively respond to reviews. So we will go into more detail about brand management and reviews shortly, but it's important to have reviews. People heavily rely on them. And those are just a few benefits of using Google My Business. Okay, so now Mark is going to go into the 4 core ideas of how to use Google My Business for local marketing. Mark, you're on mute.
Yep, I was looking for it. Thank you. Thanks, Jillian. You know, the last part that you mentioned there, Jillian, about reviews, I've used this story a number of times. So if you've heard it, just nod. But you know, when somebody leaves a review on your website, it's like somebody walking up to the counter and saying, "Man, I just love this blueberry muffin," and you would always respond with, "Well, thanks very much. What did you like about it?" Or "Thanks very much. I'm really glad to hear it." People are doing that online. You have to respond to negative and even positive reviews and have that communication going. So be aware of that on your Google My Business if you're already set up. Make sure you're engaging with your customers, because the way you use Google My Business for local marketing is basically summed up in 4 ideas. You want to engage with your customers. You want to be able to highlight your business, gain insights, and basically track the metrics of who's tracking you, where you're popping up on Google searches, and then it actually helps you with local SEO. If anybody's ever, to use Jillian's example, if anybody's ever used the Google Maps to look for pizza near me, you need to have your SEO built into your Google My Business in order to rank higher. So you have a better opportunity to win that opportunity. So we'll go to the next slide. So deeper dive into the next 4 slides of the 4 topics we're going to talk about is engaging with your customers. I kind of opened with this, I kind of stole the thunder, but businesses that respond to reviews are 1.7 times more trustworthy than businesses that don't, even if it's a bad review. They just want to see that you're engaged and that you care. We've all done that. We've all left a review. Most of the time I only leave positive reviews, but when I get a response back, even if it's just a thank you, it helps me connect with that business owner. It makes it more personal, and I'm more likely to do business with them in the future. So make sure you're staying attentive to even old reviews from 2 years ago. It's still okay to respond to if you forgot to do that, if you have a Google My Business. So we'll go to the next slide. So going back to highlighting your business. So making sure that you fill out your information completely is super important, so people understand your hours, because sometimes if you go on Google Maps, it'll show your hours. It'll show you that you close soon. It'll show when you're the most busy. It'll show all the information that somebody might need right there on their handheld device while they're sitting in the passenger seat of the car looking for somewhere to eat or looking for somewhere to buy shoes or whatever that may be. So it's really important to provide your hours. Make sure you link to your website there, because, and that's another thing, they're going to look at your website to see how credible you are. So you need to have a nice digital footprint. They're going to look at your pricing. and there's like these dollar signs that show up if you're a restaurant, things like that. They're going to look at your attributes and other unique details that make your business stand out. So it's really important that you spend some time in here and update it regularly. So what Google will also do is scroll Google My Business to make sure that you're updating it regularly. And the more often that you update it, the higher you're going to rank in SEO rankings. Go to the next slide.
Yeah, that's just a point. Filling out this information is so important, just because I don't know if you guys have ever had this experience, but when you go to a restaurant and they say they're open on Google and then you get there and they're actually closed, it's so frustrating. So make sure that you're updating your information and letting people know if you're closed or not.
And holiday hours is key too, making sure that you're staying attentive to holiday hours, because it all comes down to trust. Brands equal trust. It's doing what you say you're going to do every time consistently. And so when somebody does show up to a restaurant or to a store and you're closed because you didn't update your Google My Business, that docks you a couple trustworthy points. So let's go to number 3. It's gaining insight. So this is key in looking at the analytics of who went and visited your website, who requested directions to your website, who actually called you. These are important tools to understand, and on what days. I like looking at this through like the 7-day, the 1 month, and sometimes the year, and looking at those analytics and comparing those, if you will, to my Google Analytics, which are 2 different things. But this is a quicker snapshot, and you can look at it directly on your phone if you download the Google My Business app. You can consistently check on what people are looking at. So it's important. And if you go a deeper dive and you get these reports once a month, it'll show you what zip codes most of your inquiries are coming from as well. So you'll know if you're doing a direct mailing or anything like that, you'll know where to really focus your direct mail, because those are the people that are looking for you. So it's a really insightful tool. Let's go to 4.
Yeah, and another great component of the insights, it'll show you keywords that people are using to type in for your business, and you can later use that for your SEO or for creating ads or anything, because it's important to know what people are typing in to find your business.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with SEO, it's search engine optimization. So those keywords that come up on Google My Business that people are using to search, you want to take those words and you want to somehow implement them into your homepage of your website, because that's going to help you rank higher on SEO as well on Google. So, and then performing local SEO. And this all comes down to that simple project or that simple task of somebody taking their phone and typing in something they're looking for, and then gathering information and doing their own homework and doing their own research. So incorporating those keywords and those optimizations to help your business profile rank higher in local results is super important. So if you're in this example, if you're into repairing computers, you want to make sure that you add a lot of data and a lot of keywords into your business profile in Google My Business so that you rank higher. Then you also want to go out and start cultivating reviews, people that you know, people that are former people that have worked with you. You could have a card on one of our clients. We've made cards for them. So while people are waiting in their waiting room, they have a little card that says, hey, would you mind filling out a review and tell us about your experience? Just getting those rankings up, and that includes helping with your reputation management, things like that. So big tips for using Google My Business for SEO is really driving to creating keywords that help you target your perfect customer, providing quality information so that people can trust what they see online about your business, which overall will help you build your brand and help you build trust and overall build your business. So it's important to be consistent with updating. It's important to respond to anybody that communicates with you. And more importantly, or just as important, is uploading photos and publishing posts regularly to continue to let Google know that you're active. You're always paying attention to your business online. And as we've learned through COVID, that having an online presence is more important than ever before. I can't tell you how many calls we get during the week of people that are wondering how their digital footprint looks, asking us to kind of review it and tell us where their weak spots are and things like that. So Google My Business is sometimes one of the first places we start. Do you have anything to add, Jillian?
Yeah, this top 3 right here is where you want to appear. So using these tips and making sure that you've completely filled out your profile as much as you can will boost you and help you get into this top 3, which is where you want to be. You can select more places, but typically, personally, I just look at these top 3. So it's really important to be there.
So how do you do this? It's super easy. Just go to google.com/business/ and then, or just type in google.com/business.com. Either one of those tools will go in there, and then you can hit manage now, or you can sign in. You're going to want to sign in with your Gmail account. And when you get in there, then hopefully you'll have your business already set up. If not, then you need to start adding all your information. It is super easy. You should know all the answers since it's your business, and you should be able to fill it out quickly. And then Bing is the, don't forget about Bing piece of this, is Bing is growing. It's becoming a little bit more popular as many Microsoft computers come with Bing already installed as their search engine. And so Bing My Places is becoming as popular. It's about 9 to 11% of the searches that are done out there. Yahoo incorporates about 4% of the searches. So 90% of the searches that happen in the marketplace are either Bing or Google. So you want to make sure that you improve your business listing on Bing and become a verified representative. And you can do that 2 ways. You can add your information manually like you will do on Google My Business, or you can import it from Google My Business. Here's my suggestion, that if you don't have either one of these, fill out the Google My Business first, and then you can hit import from Google My Business now, and it'll import all of your data from Google My Business into Bing, and it'll upload the Bing places for you. And then you'll have to do a few little tweaks, as some of that data may not aggregate correctly, but then you can go in and update those. So anything to add on this, Jillian?
Nope, that's good.
All right, good. So claim your listing, complete your listing profile, and then verify your listing. It'll send you a PIN through your telephone, and you're going to link it to your phone, like everything else in the world is linked to our handheld device. And you're going to prove who you are, and you're going to prove that it's your business. And it's pretty simple, and it's super important. So top 10 search engines right now, we just kind of talked about that. Baidu is a worldwide, sorry, I had a pop-up come up. This is a worldwide glimpse. Yeah, thank you. And so Google's, it says it's 76%. It's more like 80 in the United States, and Bing is about 10%. Google's about 4%. So if you get Google, Bing, and Yahoo all squared away as far as being in place on there, you're going to be in a good spot. So the average business has found 1,000 searches per month, and 84 of those is coming from discovery searches, which means somebody goes into Google or goes into Bing and types in a particular keyword that might connect with your business, say pizza, and you would pop up. So a typical business receives about 59 actions, meaning that about 5% of the folks that click or are looking for you are going to click through to your business to find out about you. And it is free. That's the greatest thing about it. As long as you're adding content regularly and staying fresh and relevant, people are going to connect with you more often. And those actions could go up to 10%. And that'll go from website visits to directions requests to calls, which are the 3 great ways for us to connect with new customers.
Yeah, and these are all potential leads for your business. So it's a no-brainer. Okay, so online reputation management. I feel like it goes without saying that if you were to type in a pizza restaurant, you're more likely to select the restaurant that has a 5-star review compared to the one that has a 1-star review. So reviews are very important. This study right here on the left by Pew Research Center shows that 8 in 10 Americans rely a lot on their own research before making a major life decision. So I personally use reviews when making, especially a bigger decision. I do my own research. I go through all the reviews. Those reviews are very important to my end decision of going further with that product or service. I rely on what other people are saying. And if you do have a bad review, make sure you're at least responding to them and saying, this is not like our normal customer experience. Try to make it right and at least respond to the reviews and show that you care as a business, you care for your customers. So if I see that, okay, this product or service does have a bad review, but oh, look, it looks like their team reached out to them and tried to make it right, responded to them. I know if something did go wrong that they would take care of me, that they care. So reviews are very important. Right here, it just says, 96% of adults say that they rely a lot on their own research as they make big decisions. So reviews are important. Make sure that you are encouraging like your brand advocates to write reviews for you, and like Mark mentioned, always respond to them.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So I know there's some questions in the list, and Jillian and I like to field questions more than we like to sort of give a presentation on these kind of things, because everybody has little nuances that with their projects or with the process of setting up things like this. So we'd rather answer questions, and then we're always available offline or by the phone if there's anything specific we can help with, and we'd be happy to help as part of being of the chamber. We're here to support our community. So whatever we can do to help you, we'll do that.
All right, you guys are awesome. I always learn something new, even though I deal with this every day. I'm amazed. Continual learning. All right, so one of the questions that we had is, how do you add a description in the Google My Business? I bet Mark's gonna let Jillian handle that one.
I was just getting ready to say, Jillian, that's a perfect one for you. No, I will kind of give you the what and the why, and then Jillian will kind of tell you maybe how to do it. So it's important that you fill out your description to let people connect with you personally. You want to share your why you're in business. You'd like to share what you do specifically, and then talk a little bit about what your perfect customer is maybe. It's super important that people can connect with you more on not what product you sell or not what service you are, but why you're in business and why you're part of the community and things like that. So give a description that lets people connect with you. Jillian, do you want to chat a little bit on how you do that? I think you have to fill out your registration first, and then you get into the weeds of filling out your description and things like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, so once you go into your Google account, you'll see a menu on the left-hand side with a bunch of different options, and one of them will be info, and that's where you can enter your business description. And like we mentioned earlier, a tip was to include keywords in your description.
Yeah, that's super important.
Is there any way to boost reviews?
To boost the reviews, no, but managing your reputation is important. I can tell you a quick story. We had a client that got a 1-star. They had a disgruntled consumer, and I did a little homework on the. This is one that I kind of, Jillian helps, but I kind of grabbed this one because it was pretty nasty, and I kind of looked at their portfolio, and they leave a lot of 1-star reviews. Anything that kind of upset that particular customer, those folks are never going to really turn. But we did get them to go from a 1 to a 3. So that was kind of a win. We had for them to take their review from a 1 to a 3, but that just took a chance from nurturing. But it took our overall score from a 4.8 to a 4.9. We had a lot of reviews for this particular customer. To answer the question more specifically, you can't boost it, but what I would recommend that you do is, if you have a screenshot tool, if you have a good review, grab it and then post it. We do that with C2C. We do that with our customers. We actually do print ads where we'll take a Google My Business review, 5-star review, and literally list that picture on the ad. So you should definitely take advantage of those reviews. And the cool thing about it is when one of your customers sees their name in print or sees they're more likely to advocate for your business, and then they become an evangelist, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, posting about those positive reviews definitely helps with your brand credibility, and just a great way to share those positive reviews. And also another thing is, when you're asking people for reviews, like we use certain words, like if you had a positive experience with our business and you feel like leaving a 5-star review, if you mention those things, encouraging the positive reviews, I feel like that can help you in that case.
All right. So let's talk about those reviews, because we've had a couple of feedback. I know I had one particular, it was a restaurant here in Chandler, called me, and asked if we could help out with some of their reviews because they got a disgruntled employee that went on there and putting some bad reviews. And that's a tough one to manage.
Yeah.
It certainly is. I think the obviously the first thing to do is you respond to the you communicate in a fair. Don't be. Here's the thing everybody wants to jump to. They want to be defensive, like, oh, this didn't happen. Here's the real story. You just want to be empathetic to the reviewer, and then because that message conveys to future customers, you're probably not going to change that reviewer's mind. They're probably not going to go, okay, I'm going to fix it. Although it did happen to us once. Most of the time, they're going to stick to their guns because they're pot committed. So what you have to then do is damage control, right? You have to put your finger in the dike and you have to figure out, okay, how do I fix this? And it is super important that you address it. So you address it online, something very empathetic. Say, I understand where you're coming from. We're sorry you had a bad experience. We'd love to earn your business back, or we'd love to earn a way to, and they might respond back to you again. But you continue to do that. And then the next piece of it is you start to do damage control and start to layer reviews on top of that bad review in order to raise your overall rank. And you can go out and request those. So a lot of businesses will get customers' phone numbers, or they'll get customers' email addresses. And what you can do is you can actually go out and nobody minds. I've had people send me emails, hey, would you mind reviewing my business for me? Did you have a great experience, as Jillian said? Did you have a positive experience? Would you mind leaving us a 5-star review? Those things, believe it or not, you're going to get about a 20% response rate. So every 10 that you send out, you're going to get 2 people that are actually going to take the time to review your business for you because they feel like they're part of the community and they're connecting with your business. And believe it or not, a handful of those folks will become advocates for you, and they'll write things that you never thought about. And it'll give you confidence as a business owner as well that you're doing a good job.
Good. So, and that was one of the reasons why he reached out to us, and so that we could kind of bury that, and so that his positive comments, and he's a really great guy. And the other thing is, if you are going to leave a review, and this is what I tell people, talk to the manager one-on-one. You can get so much further than hiding behind social media. If you don't address it while you're there, hitting them blindsided, seriously, they could much better take care of the situation if they know about it then, as opposed to then going back and leaving a bad review. So sometimes not, but I like the in-person approach as well.
That's so true. That's so true.
One of the other things, and we heard this for a little bit, is that you talked about, the reviews on the Google My Business. Some of the things that we're hearing is some companies, such as Yelp or some of those other kinds of things, that if you don't belong to them, they will leave bad reviews for you, whether that's true or not. We had a group of restaurants that actually came to us with some of those issues. Any comments on that, or how best to approach that?
Yelp is an interesting player in the game. I tend to trust my Google reviews more than I trust Yelp, because Yelp is a for-profit business. Not that Google isn't, but Google doesn't do it from a review perspective. Yelp tends to have a penchant for wanting you to do ads with them in order to be successful and rank high on their SEO. And for some folks that works. If you look at a return on investment, I'm not dogging Yelp. Yelp works for a lot of folks. I look at it as more of a restaurant and entertainment focused channel. I think that is it's more suited for that. So that's important, because people that do leave reviews on Yelp tend to put a lot of effort and a lot of time into it. They tend to be a little persnickety sometimes. And so overall, what you'll see is a restaurant might rank 4.8 on Google, and many times it'll rank 4.5 on Yelp. It's just people there are a little bit more harsh in my experience. But it's just like any review or any investment into marketing. If you think that if you're getting leads from Yelp, people are walking in, the best way to find out on Yelp if you're getting leads is to put an offer in and have somebody walk in and tell your server, hey, I've got this coupon, you need to scan it. It's super easy to set up through Yelp. But if you're seeing people starting to come in and you're spending $600 or $1,000 a month, but you're getting a lift of, whatever, 20% directly from Yelp, then maybe that's worth it. But as it relates to reviews, do the same thing you would do with Google. Just be empathetic, answer them honestly, offer them something free to come back and see you, and hopefully get that review changed. Because you know what, a $10 appetizer is worth, that's nothing compared to having a less than 4 stars on your review table.
All right, another question. What is hard about Yelp is that those are the only reviews that pop up on Apple Maps when you look up the location of a business. How do you manage that?
I don't use Apple Maps, so that's.
There you go.
I'm kidding. Start using a different map. No, I don't know. It's a really good question, and what I could probably do is do some quick homework to find out what the usage is. It's a tough question. You got me stumped. I think you just have to manage that particular. You have to manage that like you would manage Google My Business. I just don't know how much traffic is going to that, but it's a good question. Jillian, do you have any thoughts on it? I'm kind of stumped.
I personally don't really use, when I go into my Maps app, I don't really use that to look at the reviews. I just use that for directions. But just respond to the reviews, I would say, on Yelp. If you do have bad reviews, that's the best way to manage it.
Okay. Does doing offers on Google boost your business in the same way it does on Yelp or Facebook?
I think I don't have any real stories to tell other than that. I will tell you that Yelp, I think, is more expensive. Google tends to be a free service, so if you add an offer, you're going to have to track that yourself, whereas Yelp will use their own tracking tools to help you sort of understand the demographics of who's reacting to your review. So I apologize for not having as much information about Yelp at the tip of my fingers. Many of our clients use Yelp independently. We also have set a few clients up on that, but it tends to be an expensive tool that we have not had the experience having great ROI as it relates to the particular business that we're in. If it's a high-end restaurant, it absolutely makes sense. But if it's fast food or fast casual, it tends to not pay off for what you have to spend for advertising. But it doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means that we haven't had great experience with it. Jillian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with doing offers on Google, especially since it's free. It's basically just making a post on social media is what it's equivalent to. So I would definitely go that route and just organically posting about it on Facebook compared to doing a Yelp ad, because they're just so expensive.
Now, let me make sure I share this with you. It's super important that you fill out your Yelp profile just like you would fill out your Google My Business profile, because the people that are using Apple Maps is using an API to basically yank all that information from Yelp. Apple Maps is using Yelp's data to pull in information about your business. So they have sort of they have a connection with one another. They have a partnership. So just make sure that you fill out your information on Yelp. And maybe we have another seminar on how to do that specifically, but it's very similar to claim your business page, just like you would for Google My Business, and it's pretty simple.
Another question, is there a way to remove photos from Google Your Business? We've had some that aren't all related to our business.
That other people put up, or that you put up? Because if it's you, yeah, you just you go into your photos. Jillian, I don't know if you can show an example of ours. While other people, that's sort of like a review, right? So you want to go in and say, hey, can you help me out here? This isn't really us. You just got to communicate with them on trying to get that removed. You can also contact Google and tell them that this is and see if they'll help you remove it. Very often they don't want to do that. They want this entire thing to be self-service. And so most of the time they want you to communicate with that person to to get that pulled. Have you ever experienced that before, Jillian? Great questions.
Well, I've seen like people have like customer photos that they upload, but they're just like really old and outdated. So unless you're like really scrolling and really going back further, you'll most likely just look at like the top photos. So just make sure that you have updated and recent photos, most recently uploaded.
We actually had a situation with that here at the chamber with the Ostrich Festival, and somebody had posted some really kind of disturbing pictures of ostriches that looked like they had been hurt, and it wasn't even our festival. It had nothing to do with us. And actually, I will say Google was we responded to them. And actually, I have to do a shout out to Chandler PD, because, they're always scrolling that, making sure that, there are no threats for our community and so forth. They're the ones who brought it to our attention, and they reported it as well. And Google actually removed it, and no questions asked, and which was very helpful. Good.
Yeah. And Jillian was making the point of, it's like bad reviews, bad pictures. You want to bury them, right? You want to add your own pictures. You want to go out and continue to put things on top of it, right? And so what Google wants to scroll is relevant and timely information. That's what they want to grab and show to people. So things from months ago won't show up as much as things that are recently. So that's just all part of that reputation management that's becoming so important these days, whether it's, videos that are negative news articles or comments or any reviews. You want to continue to be active and addressing those as best you can and trying to get those. Here's the thing, is people know that there's crabby people out in the world that are going to do dumb things. We expect that now in this age that we live in, clearly. So as long as you're addressing it and you sound empathetic and you are empathetic and you're a small business owner, just say, and you can appeal to that common sense, you actually can, the old adage of any news is good news. Sometimes you can earn business from responding to a bad review or something like that the right way. People are like, oh, like this guy gets it, or this lady gets it. She's a small business owner trying to make her way. Somebody's being a jerk, and they appreciate that. They'll probably throw you some business just because of that.
Wow. Thank you to both so much. You are always a fountain of information. I always learn from you. So thank you again. And I know that we have you scheduled again next month for more tips. So also, if you want to put in the chat more information that you want to hear about, let us know that so that we can bring you in those expert speakers. So at this time, Paula, what is the latest on financing for companies?
All right, so let me share my presentation real quickly.
Great.
All right, should be able to see it. So yes, as Terry mentioned, I'm a business analyst with the Maricopa Small Business Development Center. And just very quickly, before we get into talking about what's going on with the disaster loans and a little bit about SBDC services, for those of you maybe not familiar with the SBDC, we're the Small Business Development Center, and we're actually part of the Arizona network of SBDC centers, and it's a national network. And we are here to provide no-fee counseling to small businesses, whether you just have an idea, you're scaling up, you're an established business owner in any industry, we can work with you and help you along this journey. We also provide training and access to some great tools and research. So listed on the screen are just some of the areas really relevant right now to today and what we're working through with COVID. We're working on resiliency assessments with our clients, helping them get lender ready if they're thinking about approaching a lender. Of course, those disaster loan programs, still assisting with those. Strategy, sales, marketing, operations. We have experts in manufacturing and export and international trade. And many of our clients are trying to look at, how do we expand, our sales and are exploring some government contracting opportunities. And the PTAC group is expert in all things government contracting. So check us out if you have not yet. So with that, let's do a quick update on those disaster loans. So the economic injury disaster loan, these are the loans that were released back in March, and the proceeds are for the use as working capital to alleviate that economic injury caused by the disaster. And so these loans are still available. So if you have not checked into this and you're feeling like you still are kind of struggling and you need some funding assistance, this is open until December 31st is what we're hearing at this point. And these are those low interest loans. It was 3.75%, 1 year deferment on the first payment, no prepayment penalties. We can certainly help you if you have questions about that. The business analysts at SBDC can help you, as well as I know Terry and her staff are also helping businesses understand these disaster loans. Now, just a quick reminder, if you did receive one of these EIDL loans, we're getting a lot of questions now from our clients about how do I use the monies? And so I think just keep in mind that, you received that loan document, you signed a loan document. It's very important for you. Human nature is it's a long document and you skim it and then you move on to the next important task. But it's important to go back and make sure you read through that document in its entirety and make sure you're using those funds for the eligible uses. And this is a lot of text here, but I wanted to just present it visually so you could see, and you'll find it in your loan documents. But it's payroll, continuation of healthcare benefits, rent, utilities, fixed debt payments. Think about working capital, those month-to-month payments that still need to be made. And just keep in mind, you cannot use those monies to expand and to grow that business or to refinance long-term debt that you had in place. Some of the gray areas in talking with the SBA and the group, the disaster group that handles this, there are a lot of gray areas. So if you're not quite sure, make sure you're reaching back out to that disaster loan group and asking the questions that you need to make sure you're using those funds appropriately. So lots of questions around that and many gray areas. So just a cautionary note on that. Now the PPP loans, right? I think a lot of businesses are beginning to look at forgiveness. The important point here again is to stay in touch with your lender. Oftentimes we're getting that question about, well, how long do I have before I have to, finish this process? And really it's going to depend on, as Congress changed the rules, right? You have either an 8-week time period or a 24-week time period. Many businesses are taking advantage of that 24-week time period to make sure that they're able to hit that 60% guideline for using, for forgiveness. It's 60% or more needs to be used for payroll, and then the additional 40% can be used for that short list of approved expenses. Make sure you're keeping all of those records and supporting documentation. But, as far as timing, it starts from the point that you've used those funds, the 8-week or the 24-week period. So you have several months beyond that. I think it's about 10 months to complete that forgiveness process. So again, if you have any more questions, SBDC can help, as well as Terry. I know your group's helping. And then you can also find online, I've listed those links where you can find all those official documents around that. And then just very briefly, just kind of switching modes here about the SBDC and how we're helping our clients right now. And a lot of our clients, they've gotten this funding and sometimes they're running out of funding, right? And they're really struggling now with some questions about, how do I remain viable? How long can I hold on, in this time of COVID as we're waiting for kind of that light at the end of the tunnel? We have other clients that, they've seen some growth actually in this time. And they're looking at, well, how do I plan for that growth? So we're really helping in these areas of viability of the business, kind of pivoting, reaching out to new customers. How do I find new customers? What do I need to do to offer those new products and services? And just in either of the scenarios of how do I hang on? How long can I hang on? Or how do I plan for growth? It's really important to understand kind of the financial health of your business today. And that's kind of that starting point. And so these are some of the 3 big areas that we're working with clients on right now. So I want you to kind of think about that if you're struggling in any of those areas or fit one of those scenarios. But just a little bit more about what that might look like is we're in that financial area. We're providing what we call our financial stress test for clients to see, how much you can bear as a client, based on your financial position. We're helping with a financial review. A lot of times, I was a small business for 15 years. I didn't necessarily love the money. I didn't like the numbers. I loved working with the clients and doing the project work and my team as well. But it's very, very important to learn how to be that financial leader of your small business. And, they can be intimidating, that income statement, the balance sheet, a cash flow management tool, some key things that you need to have in your financial toolkit. So, we sit down with our clients and just kind of take you through that and help you understand in a way that's not intimidating about these tools and how to use them and how they're important to the business. And I know many small businesses, they have their CPAs and accountants. So we don't take the place of that resource at all. Really, we're very complementary into what we help you with. You can easily take to your accountant and your CPA and have a deeper level of discussion because they're the experts and really know the taxes and more in depth around the financial review. So kind of think about that if you're kind of struggling or want to really know more how to be that financial leader and how to use some of those tools. We also help with the sales and marketing plans and even some operations. As operations are changing, we can help you lay out some plans for that business. And we have some great tools. We have some market research resources. All of our clients get free access to IBIS Industry World Reports. And the SBDC also has a research arm based in Texas. So we can submit some customized market research requests specific to your business and your need. And they'll provide that data to you. So another great resource tool as you're looking to grow your business. And also we have access to Profit Sense, some financial benchmarking data. These are, again, some great tools to see how you stack up against others in your industry and help give you some more insight into maybe ways to improve your business, improve the performance of your business. And again, another way that you can take that tool and share with your accountant too for an additional level of insight. So think of any business development area and we provide assistance in those areas, but this is kind of a snapshot view about where we're helping our clients right now, especially as we're trying to recover from COVID. So no fee counseling, again, there's no catch to that. We're funded by Maricopa Community Colleges and the SBA. If you're interested, go to our main page at Maricopa-SBDC and click on the Request for Counseling form. It's a quick little one-page form and that puts you into the system. And then you'll be contacted about scheduling a meeting with a counselor. Sit down with us, take an hour. Let's kind of explore what your needs are in your business. See how what SBDC has to offer fits within some of those areas. Maybe you don't have a resource, and we can kind of go from there. So that's it, Terry, our update for the week.
Great. Always great information, especially with the PPP, with the forgiveness component and so forth. So questions for Paula. Actually, Paula, I do have one that came in. When doing financial projections, should you take a look at last year plus this year, or just really refer back to what last year's was?
Well, it kind of depends on the purpose of why you're doing that financial projection, right? So if you're going to a lender for some funding, oftentimes they want financial projections 1 to 3 years out. So, it kind of depends on the purpose, but I think it's good to kind of understand historically the trends financially of how you got to today, and then kind of looking at today and looking ahead. I mean, it's difficult right now, right, to do projections because there's just a lot of unknown. Take it out to the end of the year, which is just around the corner, and then take it out 12 months, right? At a certain point, you're going to hit a point where you're feeling like you're just guessing, right? Because we're not in normal times right now. So I would say take it out 12 months as best you can. And then depending on the need, if you're planning that lender to approach a lender, plan that you're going to need probably 12 months for the first year, and then a summary of year 2 and 3 out for projections for a lender's purpose. Hopefully that helps.
Great. All right, you are always a fountain full of knowledge, and I really appreciate that. I do want to give everybody a quick update on the Maricopa County grants that we've done presentations on how to apply for those. Maricopa County grants to date have given out, the County Board of Supervisors last Wednesday approved another $40 million to those businesses in Maricopa County to be able to apply for those. Here in Chandler, $2.6 million in funds specifically to Chandler businesses. That's only within the city limits. So that's pretty amazing. So if you need more information on that, visit the Chamber's resource page on how to apply for those. The city of Chandler has the I Choose Chandler program, and they have actually expanded the companies that can apply, that are eligible to apply for that. This program too is also being administered through the Arizona Community Foundation, and you can apply for that. You can see that on our business resource page. As of last week, and Mark, I'm going to ask you to switch hats here for a quick second. I believe the mayor told me that you're at about $2.4 million that you've given out of that 9.5, or is that, I don't know if that's still accurate. You're on mute.
You should have heard what I said. It was really good. No, I think you nailed the number. I was just talking with our city manager this morning about that program, encouraging her and mayor and council to try to find more ways to get more of that funding available to folks. And I think that's going to take a call to the governor or the attorney general's office so that we can get past that gift clause. But we have definitely put out a lot of dollars. We're going to continue to try to encourage people to enlist. I think 330 businesses have applied. I know there's a lot more businesses than that in Chandler. We need to try to figure out a way to get the gig economy to be able to take a bite of this apple. So we may be leaning on the chamber and the League of Cities, Terry, to try to move that ball forward. I think we're in different circumstances right now where we need to be able to amend laws in order to help the community and use this money for what it was intended for. So let's continue to talk about that.
Well, and I think it's important. So the I Choose Chandler program, they have a couple of different programs. The one that we're talking about now is up to $1,300 per full-time employee for a maximum of up to $10,000. And there are certain industry specifics. You can either go to the Chamber's page, the city's page, or the Arizona Community Foundation's page to find out those specific questions, and we'd be happy. In fact, I've had a couple of people that asked me if I will redo that seminar again on how to apply for those grants. So watch for that in the upcoming future, in the near future. But the other program that the city of Chandler has is the PPE reimbursement program. This is where if you have spent money, if you're a brick and mortar business here in Chandler and you have spent money on face masks, gloves, any type of PPE equipment, shields, those kinds of things, save your receipts. Send them in. There's a one-page application. You do have to be registered with the city of Chandler on the through their business registration license. You send it, you upload the information, send it to the City of Chandler's Economic Development Department, Micah and his team, along with your receipts, and they will reimburse you up to $500 for that PPE equipment purchases. So with that being said, the turnaround time on that is probably a week to 10 days, but $500 is $500 in these times. So make sure, and that's eligible for all businesses. So making sure that you're getting that. The other component, we are getting ready to launch another I Choose Chandler PPE program. We are waiting for final approval from city offices, so stay tuned for that. It will be specifically for Chandler businesses, and it will be on PPE equipment, and that is up to the city is allotted about $500,000 to that program. So lots of programs available for your business to aid them. I just want to again thank each and every one of you. Concept to completion, you guys continue to amaze me. Jillian and Mark, thank you, thank you, thank you. Paula, you know I'm one of your biggest fans, and thank you for joining us. I know that we hear this stuff, but as we get further along, sometimes it doesn't apply to us. And as we get to those forgiveness stages, we need to know that, because I think everybody's been kind of on overload on information. So I appreciate you reminding us about that. This program, again, has been brought to you in part by the Industrial Development of the City of Chandler. So thank you for those efforts. And if you need more information, we will put it in the chat, or we will get you the contact information to ask both Mark and Jillian or Paula any more questions that you have. Thanks again for joining us. Join us next week, this same time. We will have an HR expert on for you to answer all of your HR needs that are forever changing in today's society. Thank you. Be safe and have a great day.
Bye-bye.